Hello everyone, I am Jack and I'm back, and let me show you where I am. Alright, so I took two separate pieces, fiberglassed them together, filled the gap with fiberglass and Bondo, and then I've been successively putting layers of Bondo on and sanding them off. Now I hate sanding, so what I've been doing is I have been using 40 grit sandpaper. If you look at this, let me get my finger here so you get some sense of scale. This stuff is really coarse. All right, so the disadvantage of, the advantage is it takes off material quickly because it's so coarse. The disadvantage is it leaves what are called sanding scratches. So from a distance, this looks okay enough, but if you look close, let me see if I can get the right light. You can see there's scratches all over this. All right, so that's the disadvantage of using a very coarse paper, is you end up with this sanding scratches. Now the way you get rid of those is you use progressively finer sandpaper to sand down those high spots, and it gets down to the low spots. That's one way. What I'm doing instead is I am putting on primer filler. And what it does is, of course, it puts primer on the surface so paint will adhere better. But it also fills in some of those sanding scratches. Now you can see these aren't filled, obviously, or you wouldn't see them. But if you look over here, this has a coat or two more primer on it. And so you can see that the sanding scratches, the low spots, are starting to be filled. So the next thing to do is just keep on putting on primer until it starts filling up those low spots. Or you can sand down the high spots. It's entirely up to you. Obviously, the easier way to go is to sand it down. To keep on applying primer, but I will sand it down at some point. Right now, I do need to sand it down because I don't trust primer that sat overnight, actually it sat a whole day, to allow a new coat of primer to adhere to it completely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand this coat of primer down. I will not use 40 grit this time. I will go to I did a AI search instead of asking the internet, and which is the same thing. And it said to use anywhere from 320 to 400 grit sandpaper to sand primer down in between coats. So that's what I'm going to do. I have to see what I have, 320 or 400. Ideally, I can't decide if I want to use the board, this flat board, or if I want to go to the DA, or if I want to hand sand it, or what I want to do. I think I will first try just hand sanding it and see what happens. And the reason for the debate is by using the flat board, the surfaces should all be flat. It's just now the surface texture is bad or rough. So I just need to smooth that out. Now, when I say the surface texture or surface is done, it's not really. I got impatient. And so if you look here, you can see there's some low spots that still need to be filled. There's a high spot where I just, put the body filler on there and did not sand it smooth. It was getting dark. It was too late to put on another coat of body filler. And I wanted to get primer on just to see what the rest of the shape looked like. So that's what's going on. So I will have to sand this down, put on some more body filler, sand that down and smooth it out. This shouldn't need any more filler there. But I just have a couple of spots here that need to be fixed. All right. Oh, and there are surface defects here that didn't show up in the body filler. So I don't know if this is probably the fiberglass surface with no body filler on it. I probably should have gone and put an entire coat of body filler over everything so that there would be no exposed fiberglass, and these little defects would have been taken care of in that. I didn't do it. So anyway, learn from my mistakes. Not really a mistake, it could be easily fixed, but again, another coat of body filler 100% over the entire surface would have resolved a lot of these small defects that are in the surface. All right, that's all I've got for now. I'm going to go ahead and hit this area with the 40 grit. And then I'm going to hit the other with, like I said, the 320 or 400, and then put more primer on. And ideally, I should be able to put a couple of coats of primer, sand them smooth, and then put some color on here today. But I tend to be overly optimistic in my estimates, so let's not bet on that. I thought I'd have this in paint today, and it's not. All right, that's all I got. Like, subscribe, hit the alert, hit the thanks if you want to donate, and if you don't like what I'm doing, you don't know Jack. Bye.